Everything you've been told about how your dog sees you is based on a study the scientist himself begged people to stop believing. Back in the 1970s, a wolf biologist named David Mech published research suggesting wolf packs operate on strict dominance hierarchies, with an alpha fighting its way to the top. That single study became the foundation for decades of dog training advice. Dominate your dog, or your dog will dominate you. There was just one problem. The wolves Mech studied were unrelated adults thrown together in captivity, essentially strangers forced to share space, which produces artificial competition. Wild wolf packs, it turns out, are just families, parents and their offspring, cooperating, not fighting for rank. Mech spent years afterward publicly asking publishers to stop printing his old book. The alpha theory was, in his own words, misleading. So if your dog isn't seeing you as an alpha to obey or overthrow, what is going on? In 1998, researchers ran an experiment on dogs that had originally been designed for human infants. It's called the strange situation test, and psychologists use it to measure attachment between babies and their parents. A team led by Yosef Topal adapted it for dogs, and the results were striking. Dogs showed the same core attachment behaviors toward their owners that a 1-year-old child shows toward a parent. When the owner was in the room, the dog explored freely, checked in occasionally, used the owner as a home base. When the owner left, exploration dropped and stress rose. When the owner came back, the dog sought contact and calmed down faster than it did with a stranger present. That pattern has a name in developmental psychology. It's called the secure base effect, and until this study, it was thought to be something unique to human parent-child bonds. Let that sit for a second. Your dog isn't just tolerating you. Structurally, behaviorally, your relationship resembles the one between a toddler and a caregiver. Now, it's worth being careful here. No credible researcher is claiming a dog's inner experience is identical to a child's, or that dogs consciously think, "You're my parent." Dogs are dogs, with their own cognitive world we can't fully access. But the attachment behaviors themselves, the actual measurable actions, line up remarkably closely with parent-infant bonding. And there's a biological signature behind that bond. In a well-known 2015 study published in Science, researchers led by Takafumi Kikusui and Miho Nagasawa measured oxytocin, often nicknamed the bonding hormone, in both dogs and their owners after a period of mutual gazing. Levels rose in both. Dog owners, not wolf-raised dogs, not distant relatives of dogs. Owners with genuine relationship history with their dog. The researchers described it as a positive feedback loop. Eye contact triggers oxytocin, oxytocin encourages more eye contact, and the loop deepens the bond over time. It's a version of the same biochemical system that helps bond human parents to their infants. So dogs aren't wired to find our authority, they're wired to find our faces. If you want to see exactly how that trust shows up day to day, the small, easy-to-miss signals dogs give when they genuinely feel safe with someone, there's an illustrated guide linked in the description called 7 Signs Your Dog Trusts You. It breaks down the specific behaviors researchers actually look for, the ones most owners walk right past without realizing what they mean. Now here's where it gets more interesting, because attachment isn't the whole picture. Dogs also treat us as something else entirely, a resource for solving problems they can't solve alone. In a series of experiments, researchers gave dogs an unsolvable task, usually a food puzzle rigged so it couldn't actually be opened. Wolves raised by humans kept working the problem themselves, independently, sometimes for the full length of the trial. Dogs did something wolves rarely did. Within a short window, most dogs stopped trying and turned to look at the nearest human as if asking for help. That single behavior, turning to a person's face when stuck, is considered one of the clearest cognitive differences between dogs and their wild ancestors. It didn't come from training. It shows up in puppies with almost no human contact history, which suggests it's not something we taught dogs to do. It's something roughly 10 to 30,000 years of domestication may have built into them. So what does that make you exactly? Not a boss they follow out of fear, not a rival they're constantly negotiating rank with, more like a combination your own brain already understands intuitively, an attachment figure and a problem-solving partner they check in with by instinct. I'd genuinely like to know, what's the moment your own dog looked to you for help or came to you when something scared them? Drop it in the comments. I read everyone, and I might feature some of the best stories in a future video. If dog behavior explained through real research, rather than outdated pack myths, is something you want more of, subscribing means you won't miss the next breakdown. And there's a lot more of this science still to unpack. Because here's the thing that outdated dominance theory got completely backwards. It framed the relationship as adversarial, something to win. But the actual research points somewhere warmer. Your dog isn't calculating rank when they curl up against your leg or watch your face across a room. They're doing something closer to what a child does with a parent they trust completely, anchoring themselves to you, using you as the safe place the rest of the world gets measured against. That's not a smaller thing than being a pack leader. It's a bigger one. And it raises another question, one most owners have never fully answered. Because trust and attachment don't just exist, they show up in specific, everyday moments most people walk right past without realizing what they're seeing. If you want to know exactly what those moments look like, watch 8 Things Dogs Only Do with Someone They Truly Trust next.